Welcome back to Characters in the Wild. Last time we met Bobbin, older sister to Button. For the next character, I decided it was time these kids had some sort of guardian or responsible adult added to their community. The next sprinkler head in my collection is more typical of what you see when working in irrigation, just a clump of dirt and grass sitting on top. Since the sprinkler head itself wasn't exactly screaming with personality, it was more the clarifying outline I did that informed this character direction. As per usual, this is a speed draw, so there are flickering lines. I did the outline in two stages, first capturing the long grass stem in the front, and then the clump of grass in the back as well as the dirt below. It was the outline of the dirt that actually brought a more recognizable hat-like shape into view. Additionally, one of the short broken pieces of grass looked a little bit like a tulip to me, and the hat shape, combined with that tulip stuck in the band, made me think of a grandmother-type character, so I headed off in that direction. Again, since I decided she would be the grandmother of the other two characters, her general body shape was decided by those designs. The only thing I really played around with was what sort of shape her shawl would take. I was aiming for that classic woodsy cabin grandmother look. I decided to go with a long cloak-like shawl as the balance between grandmother, fantasy adventure story, and consistent oversized clothing design for this family of characters. I was also thinking about Button and Bobbin's personalities, and what sort of guardian they might have that would foster that kind of adventure and confidence. Choosing a cloak over an ordinary shawl felt like it gave the sense that maybe she was once an adventurer herself, which was certainly an energy I tried to capture in the walking pose I drew later. This may be primarily Button's story, but I want the additional characters to feel like they have stories of their own too. I decided to have a nice fancy brooch as the cloak's clasp, but when I had finished drawing it, I thought about how complicated it would be to replicate, and decided it should be simplified. When coming up with a character design, it's important to keep your purpose in mind. Is this a one-off masterpiece to showcase your detail work? An OC you want to spend time drawing again and again? Or is it a character you want to be able to reproduce often and quickly? An animator does not put as much detail into their work as, say, Jan van Eyck put into his piece Madonna with Canon Joris Vanderpeel. Look it up to see what I mean, and I'll link Art Deco's deep dive into the piece below if you're interested to learn just how detailed it is. But it's not because animators can't draw details, it's just not suitable for the workflow of the medium. It makes a lot more sense for a grand oil painting that someone has commissioned to include intricate detail work. For these characters, my goal is to keep things on the simple side, so that I can easily draw them more than once. Most immediately with the 2 extra poses that I've been drawing for each character, of course, but also for whatever I decide to build with these characters later. I said we'd be walking through the whole writing process together, using this as the jumping off point. So even though I'm still not sure what form that will take, I think it's reasonable to expect that I'll be drawing them again. So I want to make it as easy as possible for me to draw these characters multiple times. As I said earlier, I tried to capture an adventurous energy with the second pose. She's walking confidently, not needing to use her walking stick at that moment, but having it at the ready. I was thinking perhaps a little bit about a great aunt that I had, who for years seemed to carry her cane around as a formality. Since the second pose was so full of energy, I used the third pose to balance it back out. She may be adventurous and spry, but she is still a grandmother. She's not an adventurer anymore, and sometimes she may need to snuggle up into her cloak to get warm and rest. With the design finished, it was time to choose some colors. Since the children are so saturated, I decided that their grandmother would have a more desaturated palette. I wanted her to look like a soft, approachable character, so I went with a powdery pink and green. When I was little, my room was painted with walls alternating between pink and green, so I have a soft spot for that color combination, even though I'm all about the blue-orange combo now, if you couldn't guess. I added a blue in the same range for the hat, which I then pushed towards the gray end of the color selection wheel for the hair to keep things cohesive. The grass is more saturated as the natural element, with its color mostly chosen by the color of the actual grass in the original picture. So, this is Grand Dot, former adventurer, current guardian to two energetic kids about to embark on an adventure of their own. And now there are 3 characters in this little community. Just a few more, and then we can work on some of the details about the community itself. And, as per usual, I hope you join me for that.